the outside yet. So I'm going to add that loop now. I'm going to go insert edge loop, add that line right there. This should give me a quad in the back now that I'm not too worried about. Move this around if I want. The idea is now I can make a nice fold on the eye, like I was originally intending. Right across here, I'm selecting those, move that back and up, inwards, and now if we press 3, we can see the crease that was formed due to it. Now it flows the way we need it to. We still don't really have the eyelid up here yet. We'll start putting more detail on that soon. But for now, we're just getting the very basic shapes. I have to push this back, form that lid better. Even with that slight indentation, we can kind of see something being formed. Now let's really add some of that detail that we need inside it. Alright, so front view. I'm going in with the split polygon tool, and I'm just going to cut. I'm going to do it though. I'm going to do the smallest one first. It's easier to insert loops afterwards, so I'm going to do a small one and a big one and cut a loop inside. So I'm doing a small one first. Let's do a big one. This way I can always insert loops in between. And then I cut across from here, in. Same from this side, in. Now we have all the detail we need. Alright. Split this in half. See how we can insert the loop now. We have all the freedom that we have, along with the eyes going down the way we need it to. So, what are we going to do with all these extra lines? They're kind of hard to use, so I'm going to go wireframe view. With these in the back, it's really hard to see. So you'll just have to try your best to start trying to make out the major shapes. So at this point, I'm going to move this and shape around this part of the eye. Get that in right there. This line, I'm going to move a lot of these points now. I need to get that general flow down this way. So due to that, I need to move a lot of these lines downwards more. Make sure we adjust them properly on the side view too. Eventually we'll have to go into perspective view to make sure all these look proper. This line here will be taken care of, so we can make the thicker area of the bottom lid. Put that in a bit more. Let's go perspective view, it's just hard to see this way. I'm also going to soften my normals. All these up here was the whole point was to add more detail to the lid, so I can push this back and up. Now I'm going to add thickness to the top lid. Some of these things are going up too high, so I'm pushing them back now. When I press 3, you can start seeing the whole shape significantly better. With the whole lid going across. Still feels a bit thin, so I'm going to go in. I'll move these up so they're thicker. And this is thicker. Then I press 3. You see that crease that we have in the drawing. I want a nice crease in here. This part is looking kind of odd, so I'm going to work with this. Let's actually look at it. That would be why. All these points are kind of randomly placed, so I need to adjust all of these. Now that looks significantly better. If you're having trouble smoothing points out, just use a sculpt tool right here. Scale it down. Hold shift and just tap it very lightly. Don't use this as a brush like inside ZBrush. It's overkill. So just soften some of these out. Then we have that nice flow. Let's get all these on the side here more accurate. And go in, move them out. It's no longer just a straight line. Have these so they flow nicer to the sides. Let's pull some of these up here. So really get that lid that we want right across. So again, with some of these outwards more. Pull some of this forward so we really get that thick lid we were trying to get originally. Just like so. And there we go. Eyelid. The nose, we need to thicken that up. We can always go back and adjust accordingly. Just going to move some of these in more. So you can see how thin they are. Just tell how much more we need to adjust. Like I said though, a lot of this detail will be fixed and adjusted inside ZBrush, so I'm not too concerned. Also the point in here looks mainly weird, mainly because we haven't merged the center yet. Moving these a bit to the side. It's possibly pulled up a little too far, so adjusting some of these points. But that should give you a nice eyelid area, and when we just sculpt this, it should be significantly easier now because you should have all the wires you need, and it'll go toward the direction you need it to go to. Alright, now let's let me adjust some of these points here. Let's move them properly up where they need to go. There we have that. I'm going to close the side of the cheek now. There's just too much space here, and I want to pull all this out so we can get more detail in general going to the ear area. So I'm making sure I spread all this detail out more evenly. Okay. So if I look at this, if I continue just extruding downwards this way, we'll start having a lot of stretching. So what I typically do at this point is I need to find a way to close up this whole side, and let's do one more loop across. This can be pulled down along with a lot of these points, so we don't have too much stretching there, etc. So these 2 points here, extrude one more time in the back. Snap this up. Pull these up a bit more. If I look at this, I can see it going right down here. Edit mesh, insert edge loop, right in. I'm going to extrude this out. So now they both match nicely. Gonna move these to the front, on the front side now, because I obviously adjusted them mainly on the side and didn't really do much on the front. Merge. And there we go. Wasn't too hard. Let's adjust these points too. Now they're a lot more smooth going across. So the whole point is this line is going to continue going across, end up over this jaw, and all of these will start pulling them back. I'm going to take all of this now, this whole line, extrude it toward the back. I'll straighten them up a bit more, rotate them together, so just fit this general flow better. Move to the front. I can also straighten them, flatten them out, rotate them together, and get more of a side view here. Just really defining out some of the planes. Again, I need to split this in half and stick these together. Okay. Move this up. Now this whole section. Get the whole chunk again, extrude back, side, out. If we need to, we can adjust these points. I'm going to cut this line in half and snap these in now. Select around, merge, pull these back. I'm going to adjust them accordingly. This way we have plenty of space for the ear. If you feel you have too much space here, you can always split this in half. Take this whole line. You can always slide the edge more toward the back. That way too, so it's a little bit more even. Just make sure to adjust all of these points in here accordingly. I'm going to soften my normals. And look at that, you already have a face. Now let's get the ear. So I'm going to go here, select all of these, extrude this back, attach these points, merge. Now what I typically do is I go inside and analyze what can I use. I look at this point here, I can extrude this here, get that. The lobe will be kind of low poly, I don't like that idea. But we can actually get a decent amount of polygons in here, have the lobe not be dependent on that. This point can go here, create that, extrude in, pull out. So what I'm doing is I'm analyzing my wires coming in. Do I have enough? If not, I'll find ways to add more detail. As of right now, and I look at this, we actually have a decent amount. So what I'm going to do is I want even more detail. Why not? You never can have too much, is how I see it. So if I take this point here, extrude in, like so. I always recommend modeling the ear part of the head and not making it separate and extruding it in. The reason why is if you make it separate and attach it, more times than not, you'll have too many lines here going in and you don't have enough, and you're causing yourself a lot of weird geometry on the side. Many times you start getting tries or 5 sides and etc. Let's avoid that completely and start from what we have. I'm going to take this here, extrude this up. I said I want more detail, so I'm going to get that extra detail here. And extrude this out. So if we move some of these points around, I do not mean to extrude that. There we go. We've already created more points here than we normally have, which is quite useful. We can do it this way. I'm going to edit mesh, merge that. Or if you don't like this method, we can always pull it up here across first. Find out how we can adjust all of these lines going across. So if we're doing this method right here, we'll have to extrude all of these in one more time. That way we can adjust for all the differences we have. So if I'm moving all those, I have to shift all of these too. Okay, so there we go. Let's take all of that, merge, fill hole, and now we have a decent amount of geometry right there. I'm going to take this point now, extrude out, get this point of the ear. I generally work on the side first, we can adjust afterwards. Extrude this going through, get every major curve, extrude again with this line here. Let's get that defining line. Another one all the way in the back. We're starting adding more cuts in here after we need them. We can see this line cutting across right there. I'm going to insert edge loop and just add that on my shelf. Add that point inside. Now I'm going to take this point now, extrude this up. I can already see how these both fit nicely with each other, so I'm going to snap this right in. Extrude this, get the curve I need. Extrude again. And again. Most people do a lot of counting around this area. I'm not too concerned with that because we can always adjust it. What I say is, if you start counting too much and calculate everything like math and prior, you kind of take the art out of it. So I like to keep the whole process of creativity still within the modeling realm. That way when we model, we don't think that we have to have a certain amount, and that we can always adjust regardless of how many polygons we have going in any direction. So I don't like having to base something on numbers. If I do it that way, then I might not be able to model other aspects due to feeling that I have to have a certain amount of polygons. There's only certain rules, I would say, that require counting, and essentially it's, is it even or is it odd? If it's even, then you're good. If it's odd, you might have some problems, and that's about the extent of me counting when I model. I have this across here, going up, and I can tell I need to cut across. Slice that right there. And there we go. Merge. To find out an easy way to get all quads or even numbers, just make sure you go to display, heads up display, polygon count, and based on what you have selected, it'll tell you if you have even or odd. So if I double click this, it tells me 22. That's because it's counting the other side too. I'm going to delete the other side, that way I don't have to get that in the way. Now I double click this, you get 11. So this odd number, it's okay, we can deal with that, because we haven't sliced all the details we need yet. But that's what we need to basically look at, are all of the edges around a certain area. Selecting around here, merge. Let's get this detail going across. I'm going to extrude this. I'm going to match how many extrusions I have with these up here. So extrude that. Extrude again. Again. Through here. At this point, we can just start rotating. My concern is just getting the shape to look proper. Merge. Then we'll deal with everything afterwards. This way you can see what we can do to keep these all quads at all times without having to worry about making sure you have even numbers or whatnot, or counting these things beforehand. Okay, let's go through there. Extrude this. Extrude again. And these like to attach together, so we have those connected. So now we have the basic shape out of everything. We can see how we close all these points up. So if I just take all this and extrude up, we can tell we don't have enough, but that's okay. Take that mesh, fill hole, cut across, find out where we need to add more detail or less detail. So I can see this. These two match up fairly well. This one seems like it wants another cut across, so I'm going to give it that. Move that up. Cut that line in half. And cut this right through. I can also tell I need another cut at least, going straight through the middle. This will help us a lot too. Through. Up. If I look at this, I can tell I can end this point up here, so I'm going to do that. End this point up here. And have this continue. So I have another loop going down. Being that's all the way over there, I should move this out so yeah, everything's a little bit more equal. The height difference between these two areas will require me to also add an extra edge loop. Now at this point, I need to go more in my perspective view to adjust and tweak these points so they don't look so flat. So here I'm in perspective view now. Not too worried about most of these parts, but I need to pull some of these out and pull some of this in. So for example, this definitely needs to be pulled down. That needs to be pulled down. A lot of this detail needs to be pulled up, so I'm pulling them up now. And pulling some of this part up, etc. That should stay down. That should be up. These start going down already. Move these inwards more. There we go. I'll double click this edge. It tells me I have 8. But I want another cut around here. That way I can get more detail inside. So I'm going to cut that just like I want to. Cross just like so. And this whole line here, I need to cut another one across. That way I can stay quads. This whole piece, including this line, get moved in now. Go to side view again, move these outwards. Up there, and back. When I press 3, you can start seeing some of the shapes in the ears now. Which also puts this into an odd number, this into an even number. It's all fine. So I need to cut a line through here. So I'm going to take this, shift right click, bevel, come on. That way we have a little bit more. Puts this to even. So I'm going to double click on this, have all those edges selected. I'm going to deselect some of them. Go here where this line is parallel, or more like perpendicular, so I'm going to click that. Click this one here too. And extrude them both back. Just like that. Gives us 2 flaps. Take this flap here, snap it there. Take this flap, snap it up. Move all these back, get that depth. And this move is a bit different from most of them. I'm going to take this flap here, this little vertex, snap it at that point. Take this flap of that vertex, snap it over to this side. Select a round, merge, click this point, mesh, fill hole, and cut straight across. If I go on this side now, I'm going to start tweaking some of these points. Side view, move this up, that way it spreads out like we need it to. And now if we press 3, I'm going to see more of the shape of the ear. Move some of these up higher. Move some of these in more. In smooth mode, I'm just pushing these back so I get that really strong crease. And there we go. We have that part of the ear. Not so difficult. Now, the only problem left we have is this being odd. That'll be fine. Let's continue extruding all of these. Actually, let's do a mesh fill hole. Might be easier just to cut across. So I'm going to take these and continue them going through. Put another one going through here. I should have another one in the bottom here going across. So I'm going to cut this straight through. Let's get that again. Over. Okay. So I have this point now. Then I'm going to remove this edge right here. I've enough polygons already. Let's just move all these, readjust them. Okay, so we get to this point now. What I'm going to do is cut across. Cut this across. Through, like so. So look at that. I'm just cut this straight across, go through here. Move this back across a bit more. And cut this straight through. And have this nice little flap. I'll slide all these back up now because I'll be inserting another edge inside. Take all of this, rotate that back a bit more, push that up, and all I'm going to do is slice this in half, giving us the extra point we need, and always use more detail. Okay, that's one way to do it. The other way, if you don't like that method, is if I slice another loop going all across, through here, up across, in. So essentially, cut this across, kill that line there, let's cut these through nicely. Let's cut this straight through. And because we've added another one, we have to adjust all these points. Move that up there, with a little curvature where we want. And now I can give roundness to this whole section. If we go through across, select like so, pull that a bit more. It's definitely a lot more round. We just need to do the same for all of these. Pull that out a bit more. Pull this out more too. If I look at this, the ear's fairly detailed at this point. I'm going to move this back, up, in. Really get that point in there. Now a little dip inside like we wanted to. And always pull some of this up more. And just like that, we have the fold in the ear. For this to be more creased, just push these lines back. And just like that, there we go. We have that. Okay. Now if I go to the side now, double click this, even. See? No problem. Selecting the whole loop right there. Unclick that one. I don't want that selected anymore. Click. Extrude back. We should have a flap right there. Take that point, merge across, merge. Okay, with that now, we have another flap at this point. Just take that flap, snap it to this point right down there. People always think this is a bad move, but technically your ear does have a little spread going out down there. If you look in the drawing, same idea. So all I'm using is just getting those flaps to create the detail I need. So it just goes the way we need it to. So the whole thing again, I'm going to extrude, pull back a little bit, not too far, to the side and down. For some of them, then go back, select some of the edges I need, readjust these, pull those up, pull some of these up. Some of these need to remain in the back. Let's move some of them in. And what we can do now is take all these points, these edges that were supposed to be pulled down originally, and pull all those down. Pull these in. That when we press 3, get that crease in the ear, just like so. Some of these are sloughing out a lot, so I'm going to, in smooth mode, go in and adjust them. Okay. Click on that edge, mesh fill hole, and go in the back and start cleaning them up. It's kind of hard to see it, but just start from one end, start making quads. Oops. Move some of these back so they're all more equally on the same plane. Just like that. Move some of these lines back too. Some of these points back also. This way we can actually see everything. Move them differently now because it'll be behind that area of the ear. Okay. Now let's continue cutting them. When I look at this, I have to judge how I want the wires to be cut, and I've decided I'm going to change the flow slightly. Seeing how all this is flowing, I'm going to change my flow. Adjust all these accordingly. The idea is I'm going to cut this across now instead. And that at the bottom. The reason for this is because I'd rather have this piece separate. Not too worried about this type of quad right here. The whole point is I wanted this to be separate. These have to be nice quads back there. So when I extrude them, oops, I did not mean to do that. I extrude them to create the shape of the ear canal better. When I press 3, with a nice looking ear. Go through now, adjust this so you can get the proper depth for everything. Pulling some of these up. Some of the back. But this should answer a lot of the problems people have with creating an ear from the head. And there you have it. Just like that, we have a nice looking ear. Take the whole thing now, select it. Side view is easier to select. We'll go straight across, deselect some of them. Make sure that you can on the back select it too. It's easy not to select it. Just like that. Go through. I'm going to rotate this. Press D, V. So rotate. I'm going to move the pivot temporarily. Seems like my shortcuts aren't working right now. Just press insert. Just rotate them outwards. And there we go. They're out the way they need to. All the detail like we need. Press 3. It looks good. Okay, I'm going to delete all my histories now. Make sure you save.